Hey everybody, it's Carrie. We're over here at the study. The study is a small private school in Soldotna, Alaska. We house grades pre-K through 4. That's pretty new. We just started doing that last year. Otherwise, we're a learning center. I teach grades 1st through 4th. I've taken the kids through a study on the 13 colonies and their stand against the king. It's been pretty fun. We made a big boat and reenacted the Boston Tea Party. Then we went on to talk about the Revolutionary War and points of that, and that's kind of where we're at right now. We've been brainstorming why we need a government. The kids we did an anchor chart just brainstorming why we need a government. And so now I'm taking the kids into the meat of the preamble. All right, guys, we've been learning a lot. We kind of started out with the 13 colonists, why they felt the need that they wanted a voice, and they were kind of, against the king. The king was taxing them high. So that's a lot of stuff to cover. Now we're up to the point where we're going to take a peek at the Constitution. The first thing we're going to look at is the preamble, and we've already kind of talked about that a little bit, but I think there's some really challenging vocabulary words in there, and so I'm wanting you guys to kind of dig in and take a look at these vocabulary words and make more sense of the meat of the preamble. Okay, but before we go do that, we're going to go ahead. I want you guys to really listen closely. It's going to take you all the way back to the 13 colonies and why they were upset with the king. Then we're going to brainstorm anything else you picked out. I know you've seen this before, but now that we've gotten this far in our unit, I want to see if you guys can pull out any more information. All right. Okay, guys, I'm waiting for good listeners.
Well, listen. Georgia, thank you. Dear Tim and Moby, what were the 13 colonies? From Brett. The 13 colonies were a group of English territories established in America during the 1600s and early 1700s. They were.
Okay, guys, before we had brainstormed what you guys thought a government should be responsible for, and you guys came up with some great things. I think they're really similar to what the framers what the framers came up with. So somebody said fairness, fairness in taxes, not just fairness in certain things, but somebody said specifically taxes. They wanted to make the laws, create jobs. Somebody came up with invent ways to drive. I'm not sure where that was coming from. I know Caden, I think, is going to be the president. He also said good roads, being sure should our government help there be good transportation, protection from countries. I think Z said that, some war. Lydia mentioned gun freedom. I think Caden said help the poor and that we should not have slaves. So those are some awesome good ideas. So now we're kind of backtracking again. What are some reasons that the colonists wanted to govern themselves? What were some reasons? Z?
They didn't want any taxes.
Okay, so no taxes. No taxes. Anything else? Tommy?
They shouldn't pay taxes to the king.
Okay, so they didn't want a king.
I got one.
Rachel?
No slaves.
Okay, they sort of mentioned that on there, and we have that similar here. Brendan?
Freedom.
Whoa. Okay, so they wanted
Hot dog.
their freedom. And now we know we're being videotaped, so we're getting some good humor. Olivia? So they wanted a name or a what? Yeah, they wanted their own voice, right? They didn't have any representation over there. So they wanted, yes?
They wanted to be stronger.
They wanted to be stronger, so you've got the 13 colonies that were acting like separate countries, right? They had different currency, and so now they wanted to come together and be the United States, be stronger, okay?
Whatever happened to the king?
Tommy, that's a long story. Kaden?
Also, the government, and if people can't afford their kids, government will give them money so they can have the kids.
Those are things that we're brainstorming about the government. But right now, I'm just saying, what are some reasons that they would break away? Why did they want that? That's over here too, Rachel. All right, so we're going to go ahead and dig into the preamble. All right, you guys. All right, you guys. So we've been talking about the preamble. We did a little review prior to this lesson, right? And we talked about the colonists, and we talked about they weren't represented over in England, and so they were upset that they were being overly taxed, right? And so they had the revolution. Then they came together as states, and they decided they needed a government. We kind of brainstormed some of the reasons that you guys thought, and I think a lot of these reasons are the same as the framers. I like them.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So yeah. So the colonists were pretty upset. They came together after they won the war, and they decided that they needed to be what? They needed to be Yeah, they needed to be stronger. Okay. Do you have something to add, Allie? They wanted to be represented for sure. So they decided if they came up with their own government, they'd be stronger, and all the colonies would work together as the United States of America. So I introduced the preamble, and what does it mean if you hear the word pre or the little chunk pre? Anybody?
Preschool.
Preschool. So preschoolers are going to school before they get into real school, so that's before, right? See where you're gonna add?
It means before.
So what's the purpose of the preamble? Do you think? What is it introducing?
Me dog.
So it means before, but before what? What is it introducing, Allie?
The government.
Is the government or what's the document they created? Constitution, yeah. But when I look at the preamble, there's some tricky words. I mean, domestic tranquility, I think you guys are like, what? What does that mean? Posterity, general welfare, union, ordained, justice. So these are some things that I think if we dig into the meanings of these words, we can write our own preamble and have it make sense, okay? So you guys know how to use the thesaurus on the computer. So what I've done is I've come up with these words that are on the board, and I'm just going to have you guys get into your pairs that you normally get into, and you're going to go ahead and thesaurus these words. So are there going to be more than one choices?
No.
Yeah, and so you have to think about where it is in the preamble and how it's going to make sense to what you think, Tommy, what you think our founding fathers thought. Okay, so when you're looking these words up, keep that in mind. What's so good about the government? What did they want the government to become? Okay, so I think we're in good shape. Go ahead and quietly walk to your pairs, and then I'll give you your words. Boys, I need you over here. Z, Elias, and you three together.
No.
Yep. All right. Here is. Remember, guys, I didn't touch on this, but there's some that have two words, so you're going to have to look them up separately. You can't look up domestic tranquility. You've got to look up domestic, and then you're going to look up tranquility. All right? Here you go. And you guys can go to the computer, and Rachel.
Union. So union is his synonym. So joining. So
How do you get the PR?
we can write joining in the back. Want to write joining?
No, I have to blow my nose. Danny needs to get the PR.
Okay, guys, how'd you do? Just raise your hand. How'd you do? Was it tricky, or did you find what you needed? Okay, Z?
It was really easy.
Easy? Okay. I know for some of the first graders that haven't used thesaurus programs before, it might have been kind of tricky because there's a lot of words to choose from. Okay, Olivia? Go. You did all right, Allie?
I think it was a little harder because I had to split out the jobs.
So your difficulty was how everybody wanted to have a piece in the job. Yeah, that's always difficult, it seems like. Let's see. Right now, I want you to not move your seats, but I want you to look to somebody that was not your partner in your whispering voice. Tell them your word that your group had, and then tell them what you found. Okay, good. Okay. Let's take a look at the preamble. I've left some blanks for words that were tricky for us. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect, what's the next word?
Union.
Nice. Okay, who had union?
Elias.
Elias? Elias, come on up. And Elias, who were you with?
Me and Brandon.
Okay, so you had a couple partners, so I'll let you do the writing. Okay, what did you come up with? Let's see, where is our union? So you're gonna write on this guy. Okay, so he came up with the word, what's the word? Joining. Okay, so kind of that's what they did, right? The colonists joined together. So that fits. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, join, right?
In order to form a more perfect joining?
If you join together, are you stronger?
Yeah.
Us as a class, are we stronger when we're working together?
Yes.
I actually did
Miss Nelson.
Miss Nelson, I accidentally pressed one of the words.
I can write it.
So I could fall.
And who's right?
Damn,
Miss
which
Nelson.
word did you
Why don't we keep it at join instead of joining? It might make more sense.
Miss Nelson.
Okay. All right.
To join a perfect.
Can I do that one?
We the people of the United
Not the time, Brennan.
States.
All right. So Elias, I'm gonna pop your word right up here where it goes, and I'm gonna make it a little shorter so we don't cover up other important words. There we go. All right. So Z's up here, and he has his word justice. Okay. What'd you guys come up with?
Fairness.
Okay, fairness. Nip it, make it a little shorter. Okay, to our children, who came up with ordain? Who looked for ordain? Dan, did you have that one? All right, what'd you come up with?
Nominate.
Nominate. So you might have heard nominate. That's kind of a tricky word too. To nominate somebody, presidential candidate,
Children do nominate.
chosen.
Children do nominate. That sounds right. I go.
All right. Okay, pop the cover on there, Dan.
Allison has the best writing in this whole school. She's the best student. She's the kid who has the best writing.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read it, and as I read it, I'm going to have you guys think of the meaning of the preamble, what we want our government to help us with, okay? So I'm going to have you guys do something. I've done the same thing, written the preamble out here, and I have some blanks on here. So I want you guys to, if you don't agree with some of these guys, you could maybe go and look again, and you could put your own word that you understand better, such as if you don't understand nominate. You could go to a computer and find another word. But I want you to create your own preamble using what we have here, or using the computer and finding a word that you would better understand. And then listen, guys, you're going to be coming up and reading your version of the preamble. Okay? So that's going to be what we're going to finish up with, and I think we're going to come up with some good things. All right? Okay. All right, go ahead, Allie.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, consolation,
Consolidate, maybe?
consolidate, establish truth, ensure home calmness, provide for the common defense, promote the normal well-being, and secure the blessing of liberty to ourselves and our family. Do nominate and establish with Constitution. This Constitution of the United States of America.
Nice, well done. All right, so there you have it. I think the kids kind of came up with some good definitions, and I think they have a much better understanding of the preamble. For an assessment for this lesson, I'm looking at student participation, just seeing if they had a clear understanding, circulating, seeing how the groups are, and then their final product. So.